Hello, friends. It's Romania Black, and I'm about to watch 3 episodes of Attack on Titan in a row. I'm joking, kind of. I've decided I'm going to watch, because of scheduling reasons, because it's the holidays coming up, and because I need to watch a little bit ahead, I am going to be recording episode 16 tonight, and then I've made the wise executive decision to watch episode 17 tomorrow night, and episode 18 the night after that, because when I watched 2 episodes of Attack on Titan back to back, sometimes my brain melted, but other times it didn't. So watching 3 back to back, especially in this season, should be totally fine. Should not have any worries. Should be great. But episode 15 just came out on Patreon, and episode 13 just came out on YouTube. And so I'm actually not that far ahead like I thought I'd be. So because of the holidays coming up, I need to record ahead. So yeah, last episode was great. It was just heartbreaking. Because Bertolt, oh God, I talked for nearly 2 hours about it, but it's so frustrating that Bertolt gets his resolve at the worst time. It's like there are no bad guys at this point, you know. At this point, yeah, you can argue Bertolt and Reiner are evil, but then it's like they want to argue that humanity's evil. But the thing of it is, we still don't know why Bertolt and Reiner believe that they're evil. Like, what's the whole point? Like, we don't know that side of the story yet. So I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. I'm waiting for Isayama to give me answers. I know he will. Y'all told me he will. It's just a matter of time. And I do have a few little notes that have come out before. Mainly there's stuff taken from today with episode 15, and I wanted to mention them because they tie into the last episode. But, and Christopher Peterson noted, it's funny, I've been making comparisons of the Warrior Crew trio and our main trio. So we have Armin, Eren, and Mikasa, and then we have Bertolt, Reiner, and Annie. And I've made these comparisons, and Eren and Reiner seem like they're similar. But I want to make note, Christopher Peterson noted how similar Bertolt and Mikasa were last episode. And I talked about Bertolt and Armin, but I really didn't talk a lot about Bertolt and Mikasa. But the idea of the cruel world, and that it being Bertolt and Mikasa, both of them have this resolve now that no matter what anybody says, they have the mission in mind and nothing's going to change their mind. The conflict is just there and we've just got to solve it, and there's nothing we can do about it. And that's so sad, because I think there is something they can do about it. Isayama is suggesting there's something that they can do about it, but neither of them believe it. So it's frustrating. And I think it's funny that we tie back to Mikasa with the world the girl saw, because Moth had noted that the episode of the Marco flashback where we finally get closure about Marco was chapter 77, called The World They Saw. And it ties back to Bertolt and Reiner and Annie and the idea of the cruel world, and that there was just nothing they could do about it. And it's like, ugh. But what I want to say is, it's funny that Mikasa and Bertolt have a connection and a comparison now in the trio. And it kind of makes sense, because Mikasa has this attachment towards Eren. Bertolt has his attachment towards Annie. You can kind of compare Annie and Eren in a lot of ways. So that leads to the weird comparison of Armin and Reiner. And I would argue that on the surface, Armin and Reiner seem the least likely to be similar. But Nathalie, I've been in my little hole away from any fan art, official art, fan fiction, anything with Attack on Titan. And on Twitter, Nathalie was finally like, can I just send you like a picture, like an official art that's not spoilery? And I'm like, please do, because I'm like clamoring for crumbs. And so she sent me a photo. It's an official art piece, and it drew my attention. I saw it last night, but it's of Bertolt and Reiner and Eren and Armin, like back from episode 3 in season 1, where they're getting ready to go on that hike. In episode 3, and they're playing chess, and it's Eren versus Reiner playing chess, and Bertolt's just sitting there chilling, like doing nothing, kind of like what Mikasa would be doing, but Armin is like looking at them playing, like trying to think it over. And so if you think about it, Armin being a strategist, I hadn't thought about this, but in episode 14, Reiner kind of proves that he's a strategist too, so there is a connection there. So there's lots of different parallels between our Warrior Crew trio and our Survey Corps trio, so I find that interesting. I'm glad you noted that, Christopher. But I love on Patreon, Moth was like, this isn't a casino, Erwin, it's a damn battlefield. Yeah, so Erwin's gambling a lot, and so is the Beast Titan. And so at this point, it's like they're just playing Russian roulette on Shiganshina, and it's like whatever's going to happen, happens. And I'm like, I don't get good vibes from that, right? I wanted to note out that Chidori Goku AMVs nice name, had noted and suggested that after season 3 part 2, I watch the season 2 ED again. And I kind of thought about that. I thought about doing that for the recap review and RIP for this part 2. I thought about that because I talked last episode about Zeke looking like the beast looking creature in the ED from season 2. I kept thinking in the back of my head, I'm like, it would be kind of cool when this season's over to go back to that ED, because I feel like Isayama was putting spoilery stuff out there. We don't know the context for it, but putting spoilery stuff out there at the time, that now going back, it would be interesting to go back and look at that. So I may do that in the recap, Chidori. I may actually go back and do that. My eye has been twitching today, so it's been very odd. So if I do this, it's just me being like, why is my eye being weird? But going back to our main trio, Nathalie pointed out Aaron and Mikasa sharing a desire for home, and Armin and Aaron sharing a desire of dreams. So you have Aaron and Mikasa who both want to go back to their home. Again, that ties into the warrior crew. But then you have Aaron and Armin who both desire freedom. So it's kind of interesting. But I would argue that Sagnorm points this out too, and it's really fascinating that back in episode 12, Armin used to be able to, in that flashback, excite Aaron about the idea of going beyond the walls. Like, he'd show him the book and be like, look at all these cool things we can find. But now, with everything that's happened, Aaron isn't as excited anymore by it. He's not excited by the freedom. He just wants it, and he just wants to get rid of the people that are preventing him from having it. It's not that wonderment anymore that he was sensing before. It's just that he wants the freedom, and he can't get it until Reiner and Bertolt are seemingly gone. I'm very curious to know if Aaron is ever going to meet the Beast Titan and what that conversation would be like. Because the Beast Titan seems fixated on getting Aaron. And I'm very curious to know if that happens this season, how that's gonna go. I don't know. The Beast Titan Zeke, he weirds me out. I can't read him. But the point in episode 12 is that Aaron's connection to Armin is fading, and the dreams that they shared together are kind of, that connection's fading too. And I find that interesting. That's why Armin looks at him so weird, and why he tries to get him psyched up about it again, because he sees that connection's not as strong as it used to be. That's interesting. Anything else that was noted here is just the idea, Augie Malgum noted that Kenny's grandfather supposedly in one of the extras was said to be one of the first generations born inside the walls. That's interesting. And it kind of adds a weird timeline stamp to it, because if you think 170 years ago, you're like, oh, that's so long ago. But when you think about Kenny's grandfather being like in his late 80s, 90s, being like the first generation born in there, it really makes things seem like it's not been that long, right? It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy when you think about it that way. You're like, oh, wow, Kenny's grandfather was just like one of the first generations born in the wall. That's crazy. That's not been that long ago. It's very funny. And then Moth, as they watched episode 15, which was the episode right before this, they noted the quote, and I'm going to quote you, Moth, saying, "No one and nothing is safe. Not the characters, not the timeline, not the world as it's known, and not your sanity." Cheers! But yeah, I mean, technically, 13, 14, 15, if you look at it this way, in terms of the 3-act structure, I'm a big fan of the 3-act structure, as you all know from my previous reactions. Typically in a 12-episode series, like what we've done in part 1 in season 2, by the time you reach the 4th episode, you're getting into the 2nd act. So we're technically, if we have episode 13, 14, 15, 16, this is the 4th episode of the season, of this part. However, because there's only 10 episodes, I would argue that episodes 1 through 3 were act 1. So we set up our characters, we set up our conflict. Bertolt running away and turning into the Colossal Titan, that was the perfect ending to act 1, right? The perfect ending for act 1, because it set up all this conflict, and now Bertolt's like, I am the conflict. I am the Colossal Titan. You guys are gonna have to defeat me in order to save your friends. And it's like, okay, we've set everything up. So usually the 2nd act is when things go to shit. So that's going to be 16, 17, and 18, and maybe 19, right? That's going to be when things get to their lowest point. Yay! And so then in a 3-act structure, that would leave episodes 20, 21, and 22 to round out the resolution and the climax. So I'm entering into the act 2 of this season. You know, y'all have told me it gets crazy, but I'll be honest, these last 3 episodes, they've been crazy, but not like not like I was expecting. So I feel like it feels like you're topping the roller coaster, right? It feels like episodes 13, 14, and 15 have been like, chick, 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 like you're getting to the top of the coaster, and you see over the top, like we can see Bertold as the Colossal Titan up here, and now it's just gonna go, that's how I feel it's gonna go. And I'm terrified. So, yay. So I hope y'all, we're gonna start episode 16. It's called Perfect Game. That sounds apt. It's the Beast Titan versus Erwin. Nothing can go wrong. But yeah, we'll see what happens, won't we? I have had some people, I'll note before I stop, I've had some people note, they asked with episode 13 that just came out on YouTube, they're like, well, could you listen to the OP and just not watch it? No. I'm sorry. If I did that, it'd be me doing this the whole time. Yeah, that sounds really good. Cool. That would be boring. I don't want to do that to y'all. I don't want to make you sit there for a minute and a half looking at my hairline. I don't want to do that. So don't worry. I'll have episodes 19, 20, 21, and 22. I'll have 4 episodes to go through the OP and appreciate it. And then I thought about this, maybe during the recap, I may pull the OP up and just take the sound off. I'm planning to react to some character songs during the recap like I did in season 2. I've had Nathalie's point out there's some more character songs I could listen to, like Carla's. That'd be really fun. So I think if I listen to some character songs in the recap, I will, while I have my headphones on, pull up that OP again and go through it and dissect it with y'all in time after, I'll be doing my dissections episodes 19 through 22, but then afterwards I can go through it and be like, oh, okay guys, let's talk about this, and here's the stuff I might have missed. I could do that. And maybe that'll make y'all feel better. So I will get a chance to dissect the OP. Just, there's no way I could listen to it and not look. It's too tempting. And I usually have a pretty good self-restraint, but I know me, I'd want to look. I'm a visual person. I'm a visual learner. I need to see things. So, but yeah, I've talked for 12 minutes. We're not going to waste any more time. I'm just delaying the inevitable. I'm delaying getting into this episode because I know Isayama's doing it. I know he's just waiting. The grenade is packed and it's waiting to go off. And I don't know how and I don't know why. I don't know how we're facing this Colossal Titan. It's a big old question mark, but I guess we'll find out, won't we? So we're going to start this episode here in 3, 2, 1. And let's do episode 53, episode 16 of season 3 now. It's fine. Erwin's fine. There's no worries. It was just right here. It was just on the edge. It just barely took it off. It got his horse more than anything. No! Okay. Yep, we've started off. I said Act 2. When I said Act 2 is when your character's at your lowest point, I was thinking by the end of episode 18 that would be the case. You don't start that right off the bat, show. Isayama. Oh my god, this episode was rough. This episode was rough. And I'm sure that you all, what you're going to be saying is, oh, Romania, this is only the start of Act 2. And I'm like, oh no. I have this knee-jerk reaction that when something bad happens, my knee-jerk reaction is to laugh about it. Because I'm like, oh, that'll make it not seem as bad. God, the moment that Levi told Erwin, he's like, you have to give up on your dream and die, or we're all... God, that... Oh... I was trying to soak up the monologues. That redheaded kid. Okay. We still don't have a name for the redheaded kid. But Isayama, I'm like, are you gonna make him a player in all this? Are you gonna make me regret? I say hashtag no regrets. I'm like, Isayama, are you gonna make me regret talking shit about him? Because somebody noted back in, I think maybe it was episode 12 or something. They were like, or episode 11, they're like, Romania's making fun of the redhead kid. I'm like, yeah, because he was a little shit. And so it was back when they were, it was in episode 12. It was right before they left for Shigenshina. And I was like, yeah, he's being a little shit. He was a little cocky kid. Didn't realize these guys had been through things. And now I'm like, Isayama, that's the one thing Isayama does. He presents you with a character and you think that you got a read on him. And then it turns out to be exactly what you weren't expecting. And I'm like, huh, Okay. So yeah, I'm sure Isayama's gonna be like, this kid is not somebody to feel bad. Well, you should feel bad about him, and I kind of do in this. But okay. Up until now, believe it or not, up until episode 16, we hadn't had any deaths. I just realized that in this episode. Yeah, we've had deaths. We've had Survey Corps members, but no one named. No named deaths up until this point. And I was like, oh, but we did have confirmation. We don't have confirmation about Hanji and Moblet. I still think Hanji's going to come out with something. I still think Hanji is alive, and I think that she's going to come out with something, her and Moblet. I think that they're going to do something to help out in this dire situation. I think something's going to happen there. I don't know, but I think something's going to happen there. But so I'm not putting Hanji or Moblet down. I'm not putting Erwin down yet either. Until I see Erwin's dead corpse at my feet, I'm not putting him down as dead. No, I can't do it. I won't do it. No. He's become one of my favorite characters in the show, and there's been death flags on him this whole time. But I didn't think if he dies from that wound, if he dies from that, which he could, granted he could, but if he dies just from some random debris like that, I'm like, wow, what? But then it wouldn't just be random because he chose to defy the cruel world, and he chose to not be selfish, to not be a slave to the truth anymore. Damn, we're going to talk about this. So yeah, we do have confirmed that Klaus, is it Maureen? I'm going to make sure, wait till he, and then Dirk, their squads are dead. So at least those three are dead that we know of. Oh, God. I don't want Marlo to die either. Or, now I don't want this redheaded kid to die. Well, okay, we need to talk about this. I had not really... Christopher Peterson, you kind of noted about this, about Armin, and I didn't write it down in my notes, but you noted this in your comment for episode 15. The idea that Armin doesn't have that aura of a leader. And I totally agree now. At the time, I was like, well, Armin could be a leader. I think this episode showcases that Armin is a good support. Armin is really good when he's not put on the spot and doesn't have pressure applied to him. Because back in Primal Desires, back in that episode, and the episode before it, Armin wasn't in charge like Ian was. Armin was more of the, just support character out in the sidelines. And it's funny, it kind of goes back to, I was telling y'all at the beginning of this reaction, coincidence, I was telling y'all at the beginning of the reaction that official art that showed Armin on the sidelines, Armin wasn't playing chess. Aaron and Reiner were playing chess, but Armin was on the sidelines, doing this number, he was thinking of what to do. And it kind of makes sense for Armin's character. Armin doesn't need to be put on the spot for decisions. That doesn't work for him. He needs to work on the sidelines and be like a support character and think of things when he's not totally under pressure. And so that doesn't make Armin a leader necessarily. I would argue Jean is way more of a leader, but even Jean can admit he's like, I have intuition. I know the gut instinct of what we should do. But in terms of strategy, Jean's like, I can't do this alone. He's like, I need your help. And Armin's like, I don't know what to do. And I feel like Armin's so trapped right now in that argument of him and Bertolt's conversation. I think Armin's so trapped by the idea that they could have had a negotiation and it didn't work out, that he can't see forward. He can't see what to do now. And it's driving him crazy. But yeah, Armin doesn't need to be the leader. He needs to be a support. And so I feel like when the pressure's on him to be a leader, it's just not working. The do or die situation isn't working. And God, Bertolt is, again, how are we defeating Bertolt? Because that's, I said it, I thought about it in the moment. I kept thinking they were going to go back to the syringe. I kept thinking they were going to go back to the damn syringe because my thought has been going into this ever since last episode. I thought about this today. I was like, okay, how would we defeat Bertolt? Well, the problem is that we can't get to the nape. The steam is the factor. The steam is the problem. So I don't know how. And now Reiner's back up. That leads me to believe that Hanji has to be alive with some kind of plan. I don't know what, I don't know how, but I'm like, come on. I'm like, oh God, there has to be some kind of plan in all this, right? Right? Okay, maybe, I don't know. I'm so frustrated because I don't know how we're going to defeat Bertolt. But here, with the syringe, the ideal situation, and I talked about this in the recap, the ideal situation would be if you became a Titan and you ate one of these Titan shifters and you gained their power. That's the ideal situation. And Levi has this syringe. My thing is, I don't think he's going to eat the Beast Titan. No. The Beast Titan's way too smart for that. The Beast Titan's going to get out of there. This whole plan of letting Levi go straight to the Beast Titan seems like a terrible idea. I was like, this is not going to work. Levi may be our strongest warrior, but just something about the Beast Titan, I'm like, he's so, he's strong because he's smart. He's thinking of all these things with the rocks, with the cannonballs. I just don't see this going well. Levi and the Beast Titan fighting each other. I don't see it going well. I don't see Levi winning. And so the question then is, okay, so I'm like, I don't see Levi eating the Beast Titan. I don't see it. I can't picture that in my head. So the other opportunity would be if y'all, Nathan Hardy was like, maybe what if it's intelligent, that would mean that the quadruped Titan's is a Titan shifter. And I'm like, okay, I can see that. Sure. But if Levi became the quadruped Titan, that doesn't do anything at all. That's not helping at all. The best bet for humanity would be for them to become the Colossal Titan, would be somebody on humanity's side to become the Colossal Titan. That would be the best bet. Because the Colossal Titan could at least get everybody, pick them up, and leave. They're strong enough they could fight off the Beast Titan. They could fight off Reiner. I said last episode, Bertolt has death flags now. I think that your solution would be, and I've said this back at the beginning of season 3, part 1, that if you're going to knock a chess piece out, you've got to make it Bertolt. Because like I said last episode, he's the queen piece. You got to knock him out. So humanity becoming the Colossal Titan, somebody on humanity's side becoming that, would be your best bet. The question is, how does that happen? That's the big mystery. How do we get to that point? And I feel like maybe Hanji has something up their sleeve that they're going to come out of hiding and do something, but I just don't know. I can't see Hanji and Moblet dying off screen. Maybe we'll cut to Hanji like holding Moblet in their arms and saying, you died in vain, or you won't die in vain, blah, blah, blah. I just can't see Hanji dying off screen. I can't. And if Moblet does, I'll be really sad and upset, but I could see Isayama doing it like Marco for shock value and just us seeing Moblet dead, but I don't think they're dead. I get the gut feeling they're not. I feel like that's going to be our Deus Ex Machina, as Hanji coming in being like crazy, like, I got this plan, mother truckers, let's do this. It's like, okay, but I just don't know what yet. But the question would be, okay, Levi could become the Colossal Titan. That would be pretty badass. How we get there, I don't know. And if you became the Armored Titan, sure. But my thing is, we've established in these last couple episodes that the Beast Titan is stronger than Reiner, is stronger than the Armored Titan. So my thing is, how are we getting out of all of this, right? How are we getting out of this scenario? Because like Levi pointed out, this mission is a disaster. I don't even know if we're getting to the basement at this point. We may not. We may not get to the basement. I don't know. I don't know how it's happening. Because at this point, Levi's like, the Colossal Titan is just wrecking stuff. And as Connie pointed out, Aaron's house could have been some of it. Just wrecking stuff. The Beast Titan is destroying everything. Even if Levi knocks out half of the walls of those big Titans that are standing in the way, there's still the other Titans to deal with. And the Beast Titan. So if humanity's getting back to the walls, back to Rose, and away from the Beast Titan, then they've got to have an escape route. And I don't foresee the horses. The horses are going now. The horses are going to be gone next episode. So how the hell are we getting out of here? And the only thing I can think of is if they had the Colossal Titan or Reiner, I guess, or the Armored Titan could run them back to safety. You could argue that. Now, the big thing with all that is, like I said a second ago, the Beast Titan is stronger than Reiner. So you need a way to get away and to get the Beast Titan to not follow you. And if they consumed Reiner and became the Armored Titan and ran away, that wouldn't be good enough. Either one, the Beast Titan would catch up and the Beast Titan could fight them and win. So if you were the Colossal Titan, though, you could get away and the Beast Titan's not going to be strong enough to stop you. So it makes sense why they gave Bertolt the Colossal Titan powers, because Bertolt, up until he gained his Resolve no Jutsu last episode, he's been timid and quiet. Like the perfect personality to give someone with that power to, right? The perfect personality. Yeah, sure. If they're going to use that serum, then they need to consume one of these Titan shifters. I don't want Bertolt to die, especially since he's confessed he loves Annie, but if that's the case, if one of these Titan shifters is going to die, it's going to be Bertolt. The question is, how do we get there? How are we doing this? But that's the only way I can see them getting out, is that Levi becomes the Colossal Titan somehow, or one of the other cadets becomes the Colossal Titan. Maybe that redhead. The redhead's like, I'll do it. It just becomes the Colossal Titan. But that's the only way I can see them getting out, is that they become the Colossal Titan, gather everybody up in their arms, and run away back to Walrose, and the Beast Titan can't follow them for reasons. I just... Okay. Now, I do have a question with all this. I do have a question. So, I am assuming that Bertolt and Reiner have told Zeke that Eren is the coordinate, that they think that they've seen Eren use the coordinate powers, right? So, Zeke, knowing Grisha, would probably put 2 and 2 together and say, Eren Yeager, that's Grisha Yeager's son. So he's probably put 2 and 2 together. So he would know. That's my big thing. We've established that Eren is probably not a Reese. He does not have royal blood. So that's why the King's Will hasn't taken hold. And somebody commented back in an earlier episode that maybe Zeke and the others don't know about the King's Will. I hadn't thought about that. Maybe they don't know about the King's Will. But then that complicates things because Eren's able to use the power. And if Zeke knows that and believes Eren's able to use the power, then where do we go to from here? So that'd be my other thing. I'm like, why would Zeke not follow them if they got back over the wall and try to attack too? So I don't know. There's a lot of factors here, but if humanity's going to win, we got to take out the Colossal Titan. And I just don't know how we're doing that. I don't know how we're doing that in this, but shit, let's talk about this episode. Okay. So yeah, Bertolt as the Colossal Titan. Here's the one thing. We've never, up until this point, we've never gotten into Bertolt's head while he's in Titan form. We've never seen what he's thinking. Ever. We've never seen what Bertolt's thinking. We've seen inside Reiner's head. We've seen inside... We've not really seen inside Annie's head, except when she was crying. We saw her cry. We've seen maybe inside of Annie's head once. Maybe back at season 1. Maybe once we saw inside Annie's head, perhaps. I think we might have. But we've never seen inside Bertolt's head. We've never seen what Bertolt's thinking. We see, it's funny, because his eyes are so small as the Colossal Titan, but you still see everything. It's kind of crazy, right? Okay. But yeah, but Bertolt just lighting the entire Shiganshina on fire, just throwing debris, setting flames, just causing havoc, just destroying everything. And I can't believe Connie, he made this line about Eren's house just to make a joke. He's like, do you think one of these houses is Eren's? Eren's house is eavesdropping. And he has a face like, ah. It took me a second because at first I was like, is the house listening? I was like, and then I was like, wait, eavesdropping. Oh my God, Isayama, how dare you? Too soon? I love that Jean's like, I hate you. He's like, Sasha, smack him. I love it. She just bonks him with the thunder spears. I'm like, here, I'm going to bonk you with this projectile missile. Okay, so I feel bad for Armin. And I know a lot of people, my brother's not an Armin fan. I'm a huge Armin fan. I could see how a person would be frustrated with Armin in this episode because Armin's always had a plan. Armin's always been able to think on his feet. But like I said, Armin's used to being the support character from the sidelines. He's not used to having that pressure of being the leader. And some of you commented, and Christopher, I think you noted this too, and I didn't get a chance to finish my thought, but that a leader has to have a certain aura about them. Like Erwin has an aura, even if it's fabricated. He admits to Levi this episode, he's a con man. He's been a con man this whole time. And Levi's like, excuse me? Like that, oh my God, that monologue from Erwin. We're going to get, it's tempting. I know what shot I'm going to use for the thumbnail for this episode already. I already know what shot it is, but I was very tempted to use another Erwin thumbnail. But as I've told y'all, I've used every thumbnail up until the last episode have all been Erwin thumbnails. I feel a little prejudiced, a little biased. I'm gonna lean back a little bit from that. But Erwin has that aura, even if it's fabricated. Erwin has that aura of being a leader. Levi and Hanji, to an extent, have an aura of being leaders. They can give people orders. They're kind of more like Jean, though. I would argue, I get why Erwin said Hanji was the next to take his place, right? Because Levi is kind of like Jean. Levi has good intuition. He has good gut instincts. No regrets. Hashtag no regrets. He has good gut instincts. He can make good decisions, and he understands the importance of certain decisions, kind of like Jean does. But when it comes to strategy, even Levi asks Erwin. It's the parallels between Armin and Erwin in this episode are strong too, because Levi asks Erwin, just like John's asking Armin, like, okay, what do we do? What's our counterattack? The difference is Erwin has a counterattack, Armin does not. And that's just like the difference between their experience and their leadership, right? I think Armin can become a leader. He's just not there yet, not close. Whereas Levi and Jean are very similar. They have good gut instinct and intuition. They just don't have the strategy. So, but Hanji kind of has the strategy and gut instinct too. Like Hanji made great decisions back in part 1 of season 3. Like the whole thing with Flagel, setting up the whole reveal and everything, getting the townspeople involved. I mean, Hanji's smart and has good instincts. Just isn't maybe quite on the level of Erwin. So, but yeah, I can see that idea that Armin doesn't have the aura of a leader yet. And this episode made it painfully aware. But yeah, so the idea of scattering this burning debris, it's just going to make Shiganshina a sea of flames. It's eventually going to out Eren and corner him too. And I love this, when Eren's like, you think you can burn down my city? All I can think of is the original Ghostbusters, where he's like, you step on a church in my city. I thought instantly of Bill Murray in Ghostbusters. I couldn't help it. But yeah, and Connie and Sasha, this is the thing. Connie's like, there's a fire brewing, there's debris everywhere. Armin, we need orders. And Sasha's like, hurry it up. And Armin isn't used to being pressured and hurried like that. He's not used to it. And he gets some doubt there because of Bertolt. Bertolt, like Mikasa, God, Armin, we're going full circle with Armin's character because, like I mentioned at the beginning of the reaction, Bertolt has gained Mikasa's sense of like calm resolve. It's like, nope, this is what I gotta do. The world is cruel. There's no other way. Do or die. I'm gonna do this. And it feels like Armin is instantly reminded of back at the start of this series where we see Armin as a kid. And we had this flashback back in episode 12. It's all calling back. Isayama's like, I forewarned this. It's like, but Armin had that flashback where he remembered Mikasa and Eren rescuing him and him being like cowered up against the wall, not being able to do anything. And you can tell in this moment, that conversation with Bertolt brought him back. It triggered all them childhood memories. And now Armin feels inadequate and like he can't do anything. And it's like, but you can. And he chickens out. He's like, Jean, I need you to take my place. And even Eren's Titan is like, I love Eren's Titan because it can't speak and it can't really open its mouth except to scream. So, but its eyes are like Eren's, so expressive that it's like, excuse me? I was like, ah! But everybody's like, ugh. And yeah, Armin's like, I have no idea what to do. I need to think. He's like, I was wrong reading Bertolt and look where it got us. I'm like, I don't think you were wrong though. I think that you tried. That's the most frustrating thing about the last episode is I think Armin had a good idea. He had good intentions and it just didn't work. And now he's doubting everything. And it's like, you can't do that. Just because one plan falls through, it doesn't mean you were entirely wrong. And so he says John's better suited for this. And John's like, eh? Also, I've been watching Bungo Stray Dogs at the same time as this show. And Jean's VA is the same as Chuya. You can hear Chuya in this episode. When Jean is yelling, you can hear Chuya. And I was like, oh, it's great. But Jean's like, what? No. He's like, but Jean, being intuitive like he is, he's like, well, shit. Armin's got to get his stuff together. Fine, I'll do something. And he's like, okay, we got to move to the river. We got to get to some water away from where we can't get burned. And then we'll figure out what to do. And it's like, Eren, and I like that. It's like, we got to conserve our gas. We got to use Eren to conserve our gas because we're going to need it. Right? So this is why I think that Bertolt's on a time limit as the Colossal Titan, because even now, Bertolt is steaming. Like steam is just pouring out of him. Like, it's pouring out of him. And he used a lot there against Mikasa just now at the end of the episode. So that leads me to believe that Bertolt only has a limited amount of time as the Colossal Titan before he uses it all up and has to end, right? Which would make sense. It would explain why he didn't go any further during Shiganshina falling through or Trost. He had a limited time to do what he needed to do. And so that makes a lot of sense. And he's using up a lot of energy just moving around. We've never really even seen Bertolt moving around like he is now. So he's using a lot of energy up, right? So I like this idea of not letting them see him. And Jean saying, I love Jean is like talking to Armin. He's like, I'm all right at reading situations, which is kind of like what Levi does. But Jean's like, as far as coming up with a plan, he's like, I'm on empty. I don't know how we're getting out of this. We're all counting on you in the end. And that just Armin's like, I don't know what to do. So I feel bad for Armin in this episode because he's been put on the spot in the worst case scenario and is like, hey, 15-year-old, figure out how to solve the problems. And even Erwin, up until Erwin abandons his dream and Levi makes him abandon his dream, up until that point, Erwin didn't really have a counterattack either. And that's just for their side of the wall. If they were on the inside with Bertolt, I don't know if they'd have a counterattack. Because what do you do? This thing, Bertolt is such a problem in this series. And I've talked about it before, but honestly, if humanity has a fighting chance, they've got to get rid of Bertolt. That's like in game. Humanity has no chance as long as Bertolt's around. And I like Bertolt's character a lot. I really do. I'm rooting for him and Annie. But I'm like, I don't see it working as long as Bertolt's alive. As long as Bertolt's alive, humanity is not going to survive. I can't see it. The question is, how do we defeat Bertolt? That's the problem. That's the problem. So, okay. My Funimation Funimation started skipping like around the time, but I heard the OP kick in and I was like, oh, okay, it's time. So I heard the first 10 seconds. And I was like, nope, gotta get on to episode 53. Perfect game. Perfect game. That title is layered in so many ways because on the one end, it's like, it's a perfect game. I would argue, if we're talking about pitching, the Beast Titan knowing about baseball apparently and doing the pitch, I was like, oh, did you pitch for Sato, Beast Titan, before you came here? It seems like the Beast Titans, the perfect game metaphor seems like everything is for the Titan side right now. Everything's for the warrior crew. The perfect game. Because seemingly the Beast Titan's like, well, I didn't think they'd all commit a suicidal run this soon. All right, we'll just take them all out. And it's like, ugh. So, but it could also tie back to Erwin and Levi and their conversation. It's an interesting title for an episode. Interesting title indeed. Okay. All right. But yeah, so we have Levi by the old bell tower that doesn't make it. I kept thinking, since Isayama's a big fan of Game of Thrones, I kept thinking the bell tower was going to hit somebody on the way down because that happens in Game of Thrones, but it did not happen. So it seems like they're doing okay at the start of this episode. The small ones towards the front were the only ones left, but the Beast Titan lured them all up front. It was just to get them closer to the front with the horses to figure out what to do with the Beast Titan. And then Levi making the comment, he seems like a coward. He seems like a coward. I really like that because on the surface, the answer is obviously no. I don't think he is. But then also when you think about it, I've talked about this in previous reactions and discussions, but the Beast Titan kind of hanging out, kind of like Armin. The Beast Titan's kind of pulling an Armin too. He's not on the front lines. He sends his front lines out there. And it ties back to the Beast Titan not going to Shiganshina, sending people instead of himself. Sending people instead of himself to go to Shiganshina to Wool Rose, sending children to go do it, or preteens instead of himself, who's clearly older. I don't know how much older, but he's clearly older. But then him sitting on the sidelines, and Levi calling him a coward, suggesting you're not battling this out, Beast Titan. You're sending someone else to do your work for you. So Levi is maybe not wrong, but I don't know if coward is the right term right now to use for him. We need to see more with him, and that's the problem. we don't see anything with him. And that line, it's not like he ever had balls to begin with. I'm like, oh my God, because the Titans don't have genitalia. It's like, oh my God, Levi, I love you. But Levi. And then they all tell him to take a break and we'll mop up the rest of the small ones. And here's the scary thing, y'all. The scary thing is that Levi taking a break, that guy, I don't know if it was Dirk or Klaus, one of those two, that guy just saved Levi's life. He just saved Levi's life and maybe this entire mission because he told Levi to take a break and that they'd go on ahead. He just saved his life. Like, inadvertently, that guy's the reason this series may go on. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, the idea that what was that explosion? So here's the thing. The houses are so much shorter than the wall that Levi and them, they cannot see what's happening with Bertolt. They can see the explosion, but Bertolt's not close enough to where his face is over the wall yet, right? Because Bertolt's a 60-meter Titan, right? So he's barely like 10 meters taller than the wall. So he's barely tall enough where you could see like his face, like we saw in episode 1 of season 1, over the top of the wall. But that's it. So Levi doesn't know what's going on the other side, which is kind of terrifying, right? And we see Erwin up there. And I love that his first thought is, did Hanji and the others avoid it? Like, he's thinking of Hanji. And then his second thought was, I've got to hurry to the other side and see about Aaron, which he asks about Aaron later. But then there's the damn boulders. Oh my God. And that animation of the boulders flying past while Levi's thinking, and he's like, it's again a miracle that Levi didn't get hit. But then again, it's that Ackerman instinct kicking in, right? The Ackerman instinct that allows him to maneuver away from the boulders. I'm convinced it's Ackerman blood, man. That the Ackerman blood was like, oh, you see this? Oh my God. Yeah, that's the thumbnail. It's going to be him with the boulders, I'm sure. It's either him with the boulders or him with Erwin. One of the two. But yeah. And then who knew that the boulders, oh my God, and I can't, the blood spray. The blood spray, the idea of the air being tinged red from blood. Oh my God. But yeah, it's just the blood spray of all of them getting hit by the boulders, by the debris. It's all of that. And all the troops just like flailing and falling to their deaths. And Levi is just horrified. Oh. No. And yeah, the air's tinged like pink from the blood. Oh my God. And that stupid quadruped is just rolling boulders to him like a damn Zumbini over here. No. Oh, he's like, leave it right there. Ah! And he just crushes it up into tiny, tiny pieces. The first pitch was a warm-up. I'm going for a perfect game. That's where the title of the episode comes from. A perfect game. I want to destroy them all with no casualties. I mean, some of the Titans did die. Levi took out a few Titans already, as we saw. He at least took out the girl Titan, or the female-looking Titan there, right there at the end. So at least it's not a perfect game, Zeke. Not a perfect game, but... Ooh, I don't know how to read Zeke, but I don't like him. I don't like him right now because he's kind of cocky, too. He's kind of cocky, especially at the end when he's like, I didn't think they just run, like, suicidal towards us. I'm like, are you kidding? He's kind of cocky. A little bit. But, yeah, and then Erwin seeing he's like a bombardment, take cover, and telling like, and this redheaded kid with the little porcupine head on him, telling Marlo and them, I almost called him Marco. And then, oh my God, Levi's expression when he says, you guys, and he's like running towards them. Oh, like we've not seen Levi with that much emotional expression in a while. But then the Beast Titan like just sends it all flying his way. And that guy like just kills them all. Oh, God. The air being tinged red is just... Because they had 100 people, and now they're down to what? We've at least got 6 on the other side. Maybe Hanji and Moblet too. But Erwin being like, oh my God. Like, this is exactly what the Beast Titan... Erwin asking the Beast Titan at the end of the last episode, being like, is this what you wanted? Yeah, it is. It is what he wanted. He wanted to lure them all to the front where they'd be easy pickings for the debris. And it's funny, you can compare what he's doing with what Bertholdt's throwing the debris, like, except instead of little pebbles, it's houses that he's throwing to try to destroy everything below there. And the Beast Titan's doing the same thing here. And because he's throwing it so hard, it's hitting them with such impact that it's just instantly killing them. It's like a cannon. It's literally like a cannonball is what the rocks that he's throwing is like hundreds of cannons at once. That's terrifying. Nope. And then Levi's like, we got to retreat to the wall with the horses. Levi's animated really good in this episode, by the way. Levi's animated really good in this episode. And he's telling them to get out of the line of fire. And there goes the bell tower. And then this poor redheaded kid. And Levi is like, stand up, you want to die? And then Erwin jettisons down. And then Erwin's like, it looks terrible. Yep. And everything's going to get leveled. We won't have anywhere left to hide. And we can't retreat to the other side of the wall because the Colossal Titan is heading this way and destroying everything in his wake. Fun times and spreading fire along the path. And the fire's going to keep them from getting there with the horses. And Erwin brings up a great point. They're trapped because if they scale the wall to evade the stones, they have to leave the horses. Can't leave the horses. Because that was the whole point of this, is to save the horses. Which by the end, they're like, screw it, Yeah, if we retreat here, there's no hope for victory. And then I like that Levi asks, "Is what happened to Hanji's group? Is Aaron all right?" Like he cares about Aaron, darn it! I'm sure he cares about John and the others, and Erwin's like, I don't know. A majority of them were caught up in the explosion. And then we've been dealt a serious blow. Yeah, a crushing blow, you could say. It's like crushing blow 3.0 at this point. Yeah, so the small titans were just to lure them in. Yeah, just to get him in range where he could fire at them and it'd be effective. And so Dirk, Marlene, and Klaus. Yeah, I'm going to make note there. So Klaus, Marlene. Did I put Marlene down? I think I did. I put Maureen, so it's Marlene. So Dirk, Marlene, and Klaus, your squads, dudes. We're going to be cheering you on the RIP. Yeah. So they're all gone. They're wiped out. And so all that's left are the remaining forces are the new scout recruits, Captain Levi and me. That's it. Just the newbies and you and I. And Levi at this point probably thinks Hanji could be dead. And so literally, and Aaron he doesn't know about. So literally like the only other person he truly deeply cares about is Erwin. That's with him. Oh, God. Yeah, and just, I love how it's so morbid, but the blood in the air, like the tinging of the blood, it makes the sky and everything almost look purple. It makes it almost look purple. It makes it almost look like a sunset, even though it's not. It makes it almost look like a sunset. Like Twilight. Like Twilight. Oh my God. It makes it look like the Twilight. Like when Erwin was getting on the damn horse to leave back in episode 12. I'm in denial. I'm in denial that he's dead. I'm in denial. By the time I see the next episode, by the time that we get to the episode you guys are going to comment on, you'll probably, laugh at me. But no, I'm in denial. He's not dead yet. No. Even though this is paralleling all the death flags and everything. No. But yeah. And then them looking at each other, like standing there. Erwin's so much taller than Levi. He's so much taller. And Erwin just seems like this big... Erwin seems so larger than life in this episode for the most part. Like this moment here where the debris is hitting the side of the wall and the scouts are all terrified and Erwin is standing next to Levi and their hair's blowing. Like he looks so much bigger than Levi and so larger than life that when he collapses later, when he crumples and gives that monologue, he looks so small and weak and desperate. And it's like, Erwin. And you can hear the other scouts saying, we're doomed. And so he's like, Erwin, do you have a plan? And it cuts away. And again, there's so many parallels to Armin and Erwin. The difference is Erwin finally figures out a plan. He just doesn't like it because it's a suicidal plan. And Armin's not quite to that point. We've talked about this. Armin is willing to gamble his own life, but he is not willing to gamble the lives of others. And Erwin kind of does both in his charge. He's gambling his own life, but also the lives of everybody else and not giving them really a choice, which we'll talk about that. But there is a difference there. And so I like that Jean's like, yell at Bertolt and get his attention. And so Aaron does, but Bertolt's like, bitch, please. And keeps on walking, like, just doesn't. And here's the thing that's so crazy. Now that we know it's Bertolt, when you see him look back and everything, Bertolt's eyes, even though they're tiny, they're very expressive. And that's literally the only expressive feature on Bertolt's face and body, because the rest of him's like an exoskeleton. So that's really all that there is. But, oh my God. Oh my God. No. And they're like, that bastard's ignoring us. And at this rate, Jean's like, I know that. Aaron, go stop his lanky legs. I love that. His legs are kind of, well, they're not really lanky, but they're like kind of disproportionate. And they're trying to think of all the different things he could do that will make their ODM gear not work. And Jean's like, I know, but we have no choice now. We got to try something. And Aaron's even got like the armor knuckles to try to help out. And then Mika says like, you distract them. I'll do it. Connie, you got the thunder spear. You're going to be able to do it. And Jean's like, Armin, we need you to observe him to try to figure something out. Quit your moping. Which I do agree. I can see why people would maybe get frustrated with Armin in this episode, because he is very mopey. But again, if I were in this situation and I were Armin, I'd be terrified and I'd have no clue what to do at this point, because I'm sitting here trying to strategize what do we do against Bertolt, and I'm coming up with nothing. So I'm thinking of how do we stop Bertolt, and now Reiner's involved, so I don't know what we're doing. So yeah, I totally get Armin's dilemma, and I get Armin's reaction. I can see why some people would be aggravated with Armin for this, but no, I get it. I get it completely. Yeah. So they all decide to scatter and try to go out. I love the shot where the screen kind of turns blue and Bertolt looks down at Aaron, and Aaron's like, don't you dare look down on me. Like, think I'm insignificant and not a threat. Aaron's like, don't think I'm not a threat. I love it. I love that Aaron's not in rage mode, but this is like mature Aaron rage mode, which I'm totally fine with. And Bertolt's like, I gotta look down to see you, buddy. That's the only way I'm gonna see you. It's like, brooch. So yeah, he's like, you're nothing more than a damn wretched oaf. Ugh. And then I'm amazed. I thought when he pushed him back with his feet, I thought it was going to like skin his feet off. Kind of like when, when Rodriguez had his head against the ground and it skinned his face off. I thought it was going to skin Aaron's feet off. It does not. Although, the one thing we didn't predict is that he would do like a Baxter-style Anchorman punt and just take Aaron and punt him to the side of the wall. Didn't see that coming. But yeah, not good. I'm amazed that Aaron even was able to shove Bertolt to the extent that he did. And Jean's like, there has to be some sort of way. And then Armin's like, crap. And then Aaron's like, nope, you just got kicked into the wall. We're doing Attack on Titan is trying its hardest to become a sports anime this episode. Between Zeke tossing pitches and Bertolt trying to kick the field goal. Reiner coming in like a damn linebacker. It's all bad. Oh God. But yeah, and everybody's like, welp, our Titan is in the wall. And poor Mikasa. I feel that Mikasa was like, there went Aaron. And so Aaron, it looks like he's okay. He's not dead yet. But, and then not Reiner, but Aaron, Erwin, and Levi. Erwin's face is like, oh shit, there's Aaron. And Levi's like, hey, isn't that Aaron? He got himself flung on top of the wall. Like Levi's so nonchalant. Like, oh, how'd he get there? But Mikasa is obviously concerned about Eren. But then Jean's like, no, he's not dead. We got to focus on Bertolt. Focus on the monster at hand. Jean's like, it's okay. Eren is clearly not dead. And she's like, but he's not moving. And yeah, and Jean's like, well, that might have pushed it too far. If we run at him without a plan, that's what happens. So Jean's like, okay, well, we can check that off as being not a good plan. We tried to run at him and head on, and that was a bad idea. So we've learned. Unless we can somehow turn the tables on him, this recovery operation, all of our lives, no big deal, and the future of humanity will be doomed. So no big deal. Just all of our lives, future of humanity, nothing crazy. And Jean's like, having said that, I am not about to sit around when we all get slaughtered. See, here's the thing. Jean and Erwin have the same mindset here too, right? I was comparing Jean with Levi, but Jean and Erwin have the same mindset. Jean's like, I'm not going to just sit here and do nothing and just have a house fall on me. No, I'm going to die fighting. And that ends up being what Erwin says to the other cadets, to the other scouts. He's like, we're going to die fighting. We're not just going to sit here and wait for it all to end. No, we're going to go out swinging. And Jean has that same mentality, which makes me think, looking back now, Jean and Armin have always been kind of a pair. And I've talked since season 1 about Jean and Armin eventually becoming leaders. And I think that Jean could very well become a leader from this, because Jean he has that spark, kind of like Erwin. Jean's only thing is he doesn't have the strategy, and Erwin has the strategy. So that's the only thing Jean's really missing. But he has that spark. And Jean's like, let's do this. And we're going to just go on the attack and go for it. And Jean's like, he doesn't know about the Thunder Spears. The Gremlin trio, our chaotic gremlins, Sasha and Connie and Jean. I love them together as a trio. They're like, we're going to distract him. It's going to be fine. And then Mikasa doesn't even give him the chance. She's like, nah, bitches. I'm going to go in here and try to do this. And then I love that in this moment where Jean is like, I'll poke your stupid eyes out. If you pause it and look at Bertolt's face, Bertolt can't help but have resting bitch face because he's just like the skeletal muscles and everything. He can't help it. But his eyes, he looks so annoyed with all of them. He looks so annoyed with them in that moment. Like his eyes are just like ants. Like he's so annoyed. And then Connie and Sasha, I love that Connie says, you massive idiot. And Sasha's like, you massive pervert lord. Like, how is Bertolt perverted? And Jean's like, we're obviously distracting from Mikasa, but clearly we have to do this. And then Mikasa's like, nope, got the Thunder Spears. But then Bertolt saw it coming. It was too obvious of a distraction. And then, yeah, the shrapnel gets her arm. Yep, the shrapnel got her arm. And then that didn't work. Damn. And then poor Armin. Is it useless? His hot steam even knocked away the Thunder Spears. Yeah, the Thunder Spears are really only good we've established for Reiner. Good to know, because I was commenting back in episode 14. I'm like, maybe they could be used against Bertolt. Nope. And then breathing it in burned my throat. Connie said that. And Mikasa's bleeding. Okay, great. Yeah, so Mikasa's hurt. They can't do anything. And Mikasa's like, do you have any clues for a counterattack? And Armin's like, I don't have anything. He's like, I don't know what to do. He's like, I have none. Not one. And then it's like going from bad to worse. Going from bad to worse. It's like there's Bertolt heading towards the wall. And then they're all like, shit. And then here comes Reiner. Like, just making everything even worse. Like, just, we have no idea what to do. And now it's even worse because Reiner's back up and going. And there's no plan. The inside of the wall, there's no plan. And the outside of the wall is a suicide mission. So, oh my God. Oh my God. So, we have the information card. I was trying to read this, but I was like, okay, so information available for public disclosure. The Colossal Titan's steam. A Titan's special powers are produced by using its own body as a resource. In that way, it is thought the steam emitted by the Colossal Titan consumes muscle tissue and therefore must be finite. Yeah. So basically, he's just burning out the Titan body as a weapon. So the body's so huge, he can blow off all this steam and use it as a weapon. But it's just using up the exoskeleton, like it did back in season 2, episode 8. It's just gonna use it all up until he's like, or episode 7, use it all up until he's just a skeleton, and then go from there. So the Colossal Titan is limited. There's only so much he can do, and then he's gonna run out of steam. Good to know. Good to have that confirmed, right? So yeah, so on one side of the wall, we have, so we go back, the rest of the episode is pretty much this side, the side with the Beast Titan. So we've left off the episode with Armin having no clue what they're going to do. Jean's out of ideas. Mika says hurt. Connie and Sasha don't know what to do. Aaron's collapsed on top of the wall. Good times. And there's that, and Reiner and Bertolt are fine. So there's that. And so, while that's all going on, we go back here where Zeke is entering the 9th inning and is just firing off all these damn rocks at the buildings. And it's just a sea of red. God. Just red air. Yep, the Beast Titan knows exactly where they're at. This place will look like a honeycomb soon. Oh my God. And then Levi's like, if you're saying we have no chance at a counterattack, he's like, if you don't have an idea, we need to go. He's like, we don't need to stay here. Levi's like, I don't want to retreat, but it's like, wake Aaron sprawled up there, wake him up, ride him, and flee with as many people as possible. So yeah, that again, I think that's how we're getting out of this. I think, if anything, even if we don't beat Reiner and Bertolt and the Beast Titan, even if we have to run away, you could get on top of Aaron and flee. That is a possibility. It's not a good possibility. It's not a great option because, like we've seen with Reiner, the Beast Titan could just sick the other Titans on him, and it would be like Scream, where the Titans were trying to eat Reiner and Bertolt and trying to get to Bertolt, and Reiner was like trying to protect him, if you remember. I know y'all do. I do. So that's not a great idea because then Aaron's even smaller than Bertolt. Not by a lot, by enough. And he does no armor to protect other than his hands. I guess he could make armor his hands and protect Erwin that way. But again, Levi's trying to protect Erwin. He's trying to keep him safe. He's like, at least we'll have some survivors. He's like, just go. He's like, just leave. He's like, at least if you go with Aaron, we'll have somebody survive and we can do a counterattack or something and take as many people as possible. And then as they're saying that, they're talking about the horses getting away. And then Marlowe's like, your job is to hold the horse and you couldn't do it. And then this kid's like it matters. I love that Marlowe is trying to be a leader in this moment. He's trying to keep everybody together. He's trying to keep them all together. But this redheaded kid is like, those scouts were insanely strong and they died in an instant. Like, this kid is freaking out. He's like, they died. They were so strong and they just died. The rocks hit him and they died. And this kid's like, you know as well I do, what good is protecting horses when there's nobody left to ride them home? That's such a line. Oh man, that's such a line. What good is protecting the horses if nobody's going to ride them home? Oh, and it reminds me a lot of Connie's Village where all the horses were left, but the people were Titans. This kid, this redheaded kid, his character design is odd. His hair's like he's got a big old cowlick on the top of his head. He's got a big old cowlick. He has an odd character design, but usually if Isayama gives characters odd character designs, that means that they're important, right? Because Marlowe has the bowl cut, so he's somewhat important. Yeah, and even Marlowe's like, well, shit. I say that. He gives great female characters good designs, and then he kills them, so you know. But yeah, this poor redhead, he's like, it all made sense at one point. If humanity just hid behind the walls, we'd someday get slaughtered by Titans out of nowhere. So apparently this kid at first was like, I get why we wanted to, as a Survey Corps, go out and go beyond the walls, because if we just sit here, we're just sitting ducks, and eventually Titans are going to come and kill us out of nowhere. So we might as well fight back. And it's funny because he says that, it's ironic. What they're doing now is kind of that embodiment of him saying what they were joining the scouts to do, but he just had lost faith in it, right? And so somebody has to bite the bullet and risk taking action. And that's what they end up doing. In order for others not to become victims, we needed people to become the victims themselves. And that's why they joined the Survey Corps. And there's a different guy in the Survey Corps than Erwin, a different guy telling him to devote their hearts. So it's interesting that they had a different commander, a different guy in charge at the time and I wonder if this redhead kid, since he's a new recruit, this guy was helping them join while Erwin and them were, doing the events of, while Erwin was on trial and doing this with Historia, this new guy was getting recruits as well. Okay, gotcha, that makes sense. But yeah, it's funny because this redhead kid is saying all of that, and they're like, who will be that brave soldier? When I asked that, I actually believed I could be someone. So at the time, he believed that was a cause worth fighting for. He's like, someone has to sacrifice themselves to help the others survive. And he thought that was just what joining the Survey Corps was. But now that he's actually faced to the point where he has to sacrifice himself, he doesn't want to do it. And that's so relatable. Like, you get it. You get it. And he's like, I never thought that being sent to my death would turn out to be so utterly meaningless. So he's suggesting there's a difference in them sacrificing themselves and saving humanity versus this scenario where they're sacrificing themselves, but humanity is not going to be saved. Reiner and Bertolt and Zeke are going to go and attack the walls and kill everybody. And these guys, he thinks they're dying for nothing. That they're not saving anybody by dying. They're just dying in a meaningless death. And then it cuts to like all these people dead on the battlefield. Oh my God. And he's like, I bet almost everyone ends up saying the same thing as me. Damn. Why did I ever think that I'd somehow be different? Isayama, I was giving this kid 9 kinds of hell 2 episodes ago, and now you're making me feel sympathetic for him. At this point, I should just, anytime we meet a new character, I'll be like, they're fine. They're fine. And just not make any judgments, any first impressions. Because Isayama's going to turn the tables on it anyway. And Marlo doesn't really have a comeback to that. Marlo's like, And Erwin's like, and Levi, they've heard this whole thing. And Levi's like, what if whoever's left of the recruits and Hanji's group scattered on the horses, whoever's left goes. And I love that he still thinks Hanji's group's okay. He still thinks Eren and them are okay. Like the others, you can see Eren, but he thinks Mikasa and the others are okay. And he's like, they can just scatter on the horses. It's fine. And they can try to make it home. We could use them by using them as a decoy. So even Levi just wants Erwin to be safe. Erwin and Eren. Oh my God. Yeah. No. Levi. Levi is saying whoever's left of the recruits and Hanji's group. So whoever's left, they scatter on the horses and are used as a decoy to try to make it home. By using them as a decoy, you guys could escape on Eren. And then Erwin's like, what will you do? And he's like, I'm facing the Beast Titan. I'll draw him away. And he's like, impossible. No, not. You can't do it by yourself. You can't. If we scatter the Beast Titan, he's not going to have a single thing to focus on. So he's going to look around and he's going to see you coming a mile away. But the idea that Levi was willing to sacrifice people just to let Erwin get out. He's like, just go. You can escape. Oh no. You won't even get close. Yeah. And Levi's like, probably not. But if you and Eren return home alive, there's still hope. So Levi's like, I don't care what happens to me. I just want you to be safe. My shipper heart. Oh my God. And there's still hope if Eren makes it back. And you just see like that gleam. Isn't that the best we can ask for at this point? Oh my God. What a huge defeat. And then he like turns to go and he's like, to be perfectly honest, I doubt a single of us is making it back alive. I'm like, don't you say that, Levi. Don't you say that. I said at the beginning of this part 2, I was like, oh yeah, Levi's safe. Eren, Mikasa, Armin, they're safe. I don't know now. This episode makes me have doubts. I feel like Eren is safe no matter what, right? Because we've built Eren up so much as a protagonist. I know some people in the comments, somebody was like, said something about Eren, and I was like, oh, and they were like, don't spoil. And I was like, I don't think it's spoiler. I think Eren is going to make it all along. I think he's like he's our big character. And somebody was like, well, in other anime, the main character dies off in those series. And I'm like, yeah, I don't see it in this series, though. I feel like Isayama has made Eren develop enough as a main character. I could be wrong, but I feel like he's made him develop enough as an in character. They're at least going to see it through to the end. Maybe. But, and Levi saying, and then Levi says, oh my gosh, he makes that statement that he doesn't think they're going to make it back alive. And Erwin's like, well, yeah, assuming we had no way to counterattack. And that thing where he says, assuming we had no way. And then Levi is like, oh, and the gleam in his eyes. He's like, oh, we have a way to counterattack? He doesn't realize at the moment how terrible this counterattack is. But he's like, we do have a way. Like the gleam in his eye that Erwin's come up with something. And Erwin's like, yeah, there's a way. And he's like, well, why didn't you say it sooner? And the answer is, he's like, why'd you keep your shitty mouth shut? And he's like, if the plan goes well, you may be able to take down the Beast Titan. But he's like, I'm going to die if that happens. But it will take the recruits and myself to give our lives. And then we see like the boulder smashing into the wall as soon as they say that, and they both look over, and Marlowe's trying to shield himself, and this red-haired kid's losing his mind. You know, it's like you said. Either way, most of us will die. No, it's almost guaranteed we'll all be wiped out. And then Erwin moving past him. God, Levi is only up to Erwin's chest. I want to point that out. He's so shorter than Erwin. In which case we can stake our heroic deaths on a slim chance of victory. And you know what? It's a fitting counterattack for Erwin because Erwin's a gambler. And if we're going to gamble, now's the time. And he's like, yep, this is Russian roulette. This is what we're doing. We are going to gamble my life and the lives of the recruits on the fact that you can get to the Beast Titan. And I'm like, that's such a gamble. And I'm like, it's like Bertolt is enough of an obstacle. I can see them being Reiner. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I can see them all beating Reiner because we've gotten really close to beating Reiner multiple times, either through the Thunder Spears or through Eren. We've seen through Mikasa attacking Reiner before he transforms. Reiner is not the end-all invincible person that in season 1, I thought Reiner would be like one of the toughest people to crack. But I think Reiner, of all the Titan shifters we have in this situation, Reiner is the easiest one to take down, except maybe Eren. They're like the easier ones to take down. It's Bertolt and the Beast Titan that's the problem. And with Bertolt, it's his size and the steam. With the Beast Titan, it's the fact that he's so damn smart. That's the problem. That's what's scary about this all. And so then we get this damn monologue. Erwin has gotten all the soliloquies and monologues in this season. Like, what the hell? It's just been like, this whole part 2 this whole series has been leading up to Erwin's death. I know it is. I know Erwin's gonna die. I just don't want it to happen yet. I want him to see the basement, but it's not gonna happen. And this episode proves it's not gonna happen. Because we get this monologue and like the red in the sky, it's tinging it like twilight. And he's like, to ask these young ones to die, it would take an expert con man and a whole slew of lies. And Erwin's like, I'm the expert con man and I can give him a whole slew of lies. Mm-hmm. And if I don't lead the vanguard, none of them will follow. He's like, I've got to be the one to do it because they'll follow me. And I'll die before anyone else without ever learning what's in the basement. And Levi going, huh? Because here's the crazy thing. Here's the craziest part of this whole thing is that Erwin had that big monologue, that big soliloquy. You know, it's a monologue he's basically monologuing right now, but there's someone to listen to him. A soliloquy you do basically to yourself. So in episode 14, that's your English 101 for the day. So in episode 14, he was doing a soliloquy. He was just having this big internal monologue to himself, and nobody else was listening except us, the audience. In this, he's monologuing to Levi, so someone is there to listen. But he's like, I'm going to let them all go, we're all going to go to death without me learning what's in the basement. And Levi's like, I love, again, this episode. The animation on Levi is gorgeous. Because in that moment, he's sitting there like, he's trying to piece it all together. He's like, con man, a whole slew of lies, we're all going to die, and I'm not going to get to the basement. And then in that moment, he's like, wait, what? And Erwin admits everything. And when he sits down, and Levi's expression is kind of like all of us, like, this man who has been like the commander of the Survey Corps, this larger than life man, has reached his limits. And Levi's like, excuse me? And Erwin, he looks so pitiful. He looks so pitiful. Just there with his ODM gear, his arms gone. And he says, I want to go to the basement. Everything I've done up until now, and he looks down at his hand, was because I thought this day would come. That someday, if I could check if I was right. And he basically tells Levi what he's been a slave to this whole time. He tells him, so many times I thought death would be so much easier. Yeah, and that goes back to his conversation with Zachary. Zachary's like, oh man, you got it bad. You're just stuck on this whole thing with the truth. You know, dying would be a lot easier than this. And it's like, he knows. He knew exactly what he says. But always the dream I shared with my father flashed through my mind. Yeah, no. And basically, and now I'm close enough to the answers to reach out and grab them. And that thing with his hand, he's like, I can grab them. I'm so close. And it goes back to episode 14. He's like, I am so close to the truth. I could taste it. I could reach out and grab it. They're right there. And I love this idea that he doesn't hold his hand. He holds his hand up and he's like, oh my God. But Levi, can you see them, our comrades? That shot, God, I'm not going to use Erwin again for the thumbnail for this episode. But if I was going to use Erwin again for the thumbnail, I would definitely use the shot of the wall, like a throne. Oh, it's like a throne, right? Like a broken, decrepit throne that he's sitting on, right? God, the symbolism in that shot. The symbolism of all of them standing there, all of their comrades like ghosts behind him. It's very Shakespearean. It's a very this whole monologue by Erwin is very Shakespearean tragedy, right? Because our character's so close to getting what he wants. Erwin has, since season 1 and before that, he has built up to this moment, and he's not going to get it. He's not going to make it to the basement. I don't think so at this point. No. I don't think he's going to make it. And he's like, and this idea that he's on a throne, that looks like a throne that he's sitting on with the crate and the stone, but it's a throne of lies. It's like, elf, you sit on a throne of lies. Yeah. It's just, can you see our comrades? And what's funny about that moment is when we see Erwin standing in front of there, we look at the comrades behind Erwin, we see Nanaba, we see Mike, we see Ilse, and we see others behind him. And when we cut over to Levi, we see Oro, we see Petra, and we see his comrades, and we see, oh gosh, I've got my list of the dead. I gotta get out my list of the dead to know their names because it's been since season 1. But we have Gunther and Eld. Yeah, Gunther and Eld. But we see them in there too, like all the ones that he lost. And we also see, oh God. And here we go. And we also see Nifa. We see all them there too behind him. We see who Levi sees as comrades, and we see who Erwin sees as his comrades. Our comrades are looking at us. And it's so claustrophobic. They're like all hunched in on them now. They've gotten closer and they're all staring at Erwin. And it goes back to him looking down at the mountain of corpses, and they were all staring up at him. Except now he's on the throne of lies. Yeah. And just, they want to know what became of the hearts that they gave. And they're all staring at him. And Abel and all of them. Because the fighting isn't over yet. God. God, that line's so good. That's so good because he's like, I am a slave to the truth. And it's so close that I could sacrifice everybody and maybe I could get to it. But then I'm haunted by the memories of the comrades that gave their lives for me. And what am I doing to the hearts that they gave? I'm sacrificing it all for myself. If I go to that basement and risk everybody else's lives, I'm doing it all for my own selfish reasons and for no one else. And then what was the point of giving their lives? It goes back to what that redheaded kid said. He was like, it was all meaningless, right? Damn. Is it all just inside my head? Oh my God, nothing more than a childish delusion? And Levi's like, dude, you picked a time to have an existential crisis. Yeah, is it all in my head? And I love that. And oh my God, so here's the thing. Here's the thing too. Levi getting on Erwin's level, right? Levi getting on Erwin's level is paralleling in No Regrets when Levi had been chasing after Erwin to assassinate him under this grand delusion that when him and Farland and Isabel got to up, above ground, everything was going to be great. He had that illusion and that dream that's kind of like Erwin's dream now. Like he was a slave to it. And in that moment that Levi was captured by Erwin and them, Erwin lowered himself in the mud to Levi's level. He lowered them to Levi's level and told him, that he could join the Survey Corps and everything like that and have a place with them, and gave Levi a choice in the dirt. Like in the mud, he gave Levi a choice. And he got on one knee and did it too. And that's mirroring this moment where Levi gets down on one knee to be at eye level with Erwin, and he said, "You fought well. It's all thanks to you that we've come this far." So he's like, Erwin, what you've done hasn't been in vain. He's like, we've only made it this far because of you. Like, we wouldn't have made it this far to the basement and done so much with Aaron if it hadn't been for you. Like, you fought well. Oh my God. And then I can't, that look on Levi's face, I can't. Because Levi is sensing this man that he cares about. He's telling him he's going to die. It's the most heartbreaking thing because Erwin cares about the truth and finding the truth. And he's cared about that since day one. Levi cares about Erwin. And every decision up until this point, every decision Levi has made has been trying to save Erwin's life. Back in episode 12, he tried to keep him from going on this mission because he's like, you're probably going to die. He has tried to protect Erwin up until this point. He tried to get Erwin to convince him to get on Aaron and run away, like leave. He's tried to spare Erwin's life. And in this moment, he realizes that, Erwin's right. This is all they can do right now. It's the last ditch effort. But if Levi gives the go ahead and says, okay, I'll do this, Erwin, then Levi is understanding that Erwin's going to die. And he has to be okay with that choice. And Levi, we've not seen this expression on Levi's face this whole damn series. I mean, you have if you saw No Regrets. And No Regrets arguably has more expression, but that's like a whole different thing. But the look on his face, I'm making the choice. And that look, that may be the thumbnail. The look he gives Erwin is just like, okay, we're going to do this. Give up on your dream and die. Lead the recruits straight into hell. And I'll take down the Beast Titan. Oh my God. He's like, this is your chance to break the cycle, to break free from what you've been a slave to. It's like that temptation. And this is it. This is the moment that Erwin gets to break away from being a slave to the truth. Is that he breaks free from that. In him choosing to do the right thing and try to help save humanity rather than chase his own selfish agenda. He chooses to make the decision with Levi to help save humanity. And in this moment, Levi gets away from being a slave to protecting Erwin. He chooses to break free from that. And he's like, fine, I'm not going to be able to save you, but this is what's best for everyone. And it's so good. And it's so hard. And Erwin's like, oh my God. Like Levi telling him to give up on his dream and die. And he smiles because Erwin's like, yeah, I know this is the right thing to do, but I just need somebody to back it up with me. They're both giving up. They're both like breaking free of their slavery together. Isayama, my dude, I can't. Nope. And he smiles. And I kept thinking he was going to say something, but he doesn't. It just cuts away to the Beast Titan crushing another boulder. And, oh my God. Oh my God. And then he's like, what we doing? He senses something's different. And that's when he hears the horses. And they all look freaked out. Even Erwin is like, charge. He's like, well, I figured they wouldn't lie down and die, but this was your best strategy? A suicidal charge? Here I was thinking they could do better than that. Ah, Zeke. Isayama. I don't know if I like Zeke. And then that's when Erwin says to fire, and they fired all of the things to throw him off, all the flares. And he's like, the smoke. It's those signal things. Here's the thing. They supposedly have advanced technology, or they at least have different technology than the wall people, because they have coffee, and they suggested if the serum comes from the other side, it's advanced technology, but he doesn't know what a flare is. He's like, it's those signal things. And of course that's going to throw him off. And then he's like, move away. Oh my God. And this redhead kid's like, fuck. And then, Erwin's like, our final operation. And he tells them all to get in line. Like, here's what we're doing. We're doing a cavalry charge. It's going to be a suicidal mission. We're going to rush the Beast Titan. And we're going to make ourselves targets. Yep. And we're going to wait until he's ready to throw our fire. And then we're going to fire our smoke signals. We'll reduce his accuracy somewhat. And then while we're acting as a decoy, Captain Levi will kill the Beast Titan. Easier said than done. And that whole time, I don't know what the thumbnail is going to be. It's going to be something with either Erwin or Levi. One of the two. There's been so many good shots of Levi this episode. Could be Levi. But that's the plan. And Levi looks like he's not happy with it either. He's like, we're sentencing all these people to die, but it's the only option we have at this point. And then, Levi's like, we have no other option. And Levi's like, okay, look, if I just have my ODM gear, there's not a house or a tree near him. How am I going to strike him down? And I hadn't even thought of this, but Erwin's like, you just strike down the Titans. Strike them down. There's a whole line of objects in your way. You just use the Titans and strike them. And you see that, like, the one Titan, she, like, it looks like a woman and she looks over, but she doesn't do anything. She just stands in line. But the Beast Titan told them to stand in line. So this could kind of be where the Beast Titan kind of does an oopsie. He doesn't let the Titans be autonomous. He makes them do whatever he tells them to. So they would stand there and he could just use them like a line. Oh my God. And he's going around. Oh my God. And just him flying around. It's kind of like Bertolt looking over the city. He's looking at them all charge down the lane. And they're all screaming like, I would be terrified. And they all look petrified. And that one girl just throws up. She's like, nope, we're all going to die. Standing and waiting means we'll be showered by more boulders. We'll eventually just die. And so he's like, here we go. And the redhead kid says we're all headed to our deaths, right? And he's like, yep. I like how straightforward he is. He's like, yes. And so if we're going to die anyways, it's better to die fighting. And he's like, yes. That's exactly right. And then this kid's like, so if we're going to die fighting anyway, no matter how we die, even if it's disobeying orders. And he's like, yeah, you could disobey orders. It's like, it all means nothing. And Erwin's like, it's all meaningless. No matter what dreams or hopes you had. No matter how blessed a life you've lived. Oh my God. It's all the same if you're shredded by rocks. Yeah. Erwin's like, our dreams mean nothing now because we're facing death in the face. So he's like, yeah, it's hard. Erwin's like, I'm giving up my dream that I've led to this point to do to try to save humanity. He's like, nope. He's like, yeah. He's like, our dreams mean nothing if we're going to sit here and get killed by the Beast Titan. So we might as well do something to try and stop him. So that at least maybe the others. He's like, everyone's going to die someday. But does that... I love how at first, Erwin's speech, it seems at first like... Erwin's speech at first seems like it's going to be really dour and depressing because Erwin's dealing with the fact that his dream is shattered. And so he's like, but the fact that we're giving up our lives and dying fighting, does that mean that life is meaningless? No. He's like, was there ever any meaning in us being born? He's calling it into question. He's like, would you say that to our... He's like, so what you're saying, redhead kid, because we don't know his name yet. I'm sure we'll find it out, maybe. I'm sure somebody will yell it as he gets hit by a boulder. They're like, such and such. And then he'll, die probably. But we don't know his name. But what he's saying to him and the other scouts is he's like, you may think that our lives are meaningless, but can we say that to our fallen comrades? Can we call their lives meaningless? Did they die in vain? Are we going to let them die in vain? No. We're going to try our best to do like they did and fight for humanity. He's like, it's us who gives meaning to our comrades' lives. We're going to prove to them that there's a reason they died. The brave fallen, the anguished fallen. The ones who remember them are us, the living. We're going to keep them in our thoughts as we ride to help, prove. We die trusting the living who follow to meet. We die. What did he say there? Because that speech was so good. We die trusting the living who follow to find meaning in our lives. Yes. So that ties back to Carla and Grisha. It ties back to them. The Aaron living out Carla's words about being special and being born special. Aaron is living out her words and finding meaning in them by being alive. So he's the one that followed. So Erwin's like, there's going to be people that outlive us, and we want them to find meaning for our lives. Like, why did we die? What was the meaning of it? We need them to prove that there was a meaning. And they can't be there to prove it if they're dead. So we need to die to try to help save them. Oh, Isayama. It's great. That is a soul method in which we can rebel against this cruel world. And that's the thing. That's the thing, too. The idea, God, I wish Armin and them could have heard this. I wish Armin and them could have heard this, but Levi heard it at least. So maybe if Levi makes it out, he can tell them. But yeah, the idea of the cruel world and that there's nothing we can do. So if these guys were all following the Bertolt and Mikasa logic, it's like, yeah, nobody's right, nobody's wrong. It's just the way things are. We just got to lie down and let it happen. Erwin's like, no. The people that live on beyond us are going to find meaning for what we did. And so we can rebel against this cruel world by doing whatever we can to make the future better and to make future generations have a shot. So, Erwin, my dude. Erwin's had the best monologues and the best war speeches in this. My soldier's rage. Oh my God, and his face! His face! It's almost inhuman. My soldier's rage. My soldier's scream. And he looks terrified. Because he is. He's gave up on his dream. My soldier's fight. Oh, to rage, scream, and fight. And you just see a boulder lob off a soldier's head in that moment. And then it hits a horse. And then it hit his side. It hit Erwin's side. Oh, God. And then as he's falling, we cut out. Damn it. And Levi's on his way to fight the Beast Titan. I don't think that's going to go well. No, I don't think that's going to go well at all. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to go well at all, actually. Damn it. I mean, the worst case scenario is Erwin gets knocked to the ground and maybe he lives to see the end of it. I don't know. Erwin's gonna die, but I'm not putting him on the list of the dead yet. No, siree. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. No, Isayama, I want you to confirm it. It's gonna be one of two things. It's either Erwin's just gonna either Levi's gonna get to talk to Erwin before he dies, or when this is all over with, if Levi makes it, which I kind of think Levi will, I feel like Levi's going to find Erwin's body and just see him dead. God. This cliffhanger is the worst. So I'm debating. I'm like, do I watch episode 17 in the morning and then maybe watch episode 18 at night? I could do that. That would be fine, right? Right? I could do that. I could watch episode 17 in the morning and episode 18 in the evening. It's too late. It's really late at night while I'm recording this. There's no way I can record episode 17 tonight. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to record episode 17 tonight. I really want to. I want to see the next episode right now, but I'm not going to do it. But I really want to. But I may watch episode 17 in the morning. And I may watch episode 18 at night. And give myself like, a good 10 hours in between. Sure. I could do that, right? I can get away with that. So, oh my God, y'all. I don't know. This is like, usually in a 3-act structure, by the end of what would be like episode 18, 19, the worst would be to come. But, oh my God. But that's not the case. We're already like in the direst of straits, right? Or I think we are. It could get even worse next episode. I don't know. I feel like we're at the worst. I feel like we're in the worst case scenario. The Beast Titan, they're charging to their deaths in a suicidal cavalry charge. The Beast Titan's throwing rocks at them all. There's still the wall of Titans. Even if Levi gets one half of the wall taken out, there's still the other side to worry about. So I'm worried about that. The Beast Titan is not going to let him just attach to himself. That ain't going to work. And meanwhile, you've got Reiner and Bertolt with Aaron on top of the wall and the others not being able to do anything. So I don't know what we're doing. Maybe I can watch episode 17 tomorrow night and give myself all day to kind of think about this and see if any of y'all leave any more comments on YouTube or Patreon. I might do that. I want to watch it really quickly, but I feel better when I let things set for a little while. And if I'm watching these 3 episodes back to back, then yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to wait and let it soak tomorrow, this episode, and then watch episode 17 tomorrow night and episode 18 the night after. And that way give myself a good dose. It's really hard not to binge the next episode. It really is hard. But no, I wanted to soak. But God, Erwin giving up on his dream, letting it go. Levi letting his dream of keeping Erwin safe go. And them all just charging. It's like this is the dourest moment, like the bleakest moment, right? So what now? I'm really curious to know your thoughts down below. This Erwin, this was like a death parade. It was just like him going out with like one of the most epic speeches. Let my soldiers rage. Let them scream. Let them fight. Oh God, so good. It's so good. But yeah, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. This was a great episode, but I'm really excited to see what happens next. But in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And I'll be back very soon with episode 17 of Attack on Titan Season 3.